One thing that helped me stay a Christian, sort of, is also that time of my high school. I really was honest with God, and I told him, "Look, God, I know you know my life of today. I'm a Christian. The next day, not so much Christian, but I'm really trusting you with this Christian life of mine, and I don't know the future. I don't know 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now what's gonna happen, but just do what you need to do to get me where I need to be." And from that day, I can honestly say it has helped me to be where I am today.
We have come to the end of our testimony series. In our last episode, Vegonja was sharing that in order to know God, you are to seek Him in truth and in spirit. And so we have saved the best for last. Greg, thank you for joining me. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you very much, Benji, for allowing me to share. Yes, my name is Andelino Gregory Hailonga, but just call me Greg. That's fine.
And you are?
Andelino.
Andelino.
Yes,
Okay.
that's my first name.
All right. So what do you enjoy doing? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a chilled guy. I would like to think. Friendly person. I enjoy socializing with people most of the time. Playing soccer, watching soccer, those are amongst my to-do things, yes.
What team do you support? Don't say Arsenal.
Well, they're not doing good. That's all I'm gonna say. They're not doing good.
The one who got their coach sacked or which one?
No, it does not matter. They're not doing good.
All right, so whenever you're ready, we can start.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, I believe I'm talking about my life before Jesus, with Jesus, and of course continuing with Jesus. So yes, where can I start? I was born here in Windhoek. My parents were never married; they were never together, as far as I remember. Each stayed at their own place, but I was fortunate to be with both of them.
Yeah.
I would visit. I stayed with my mom early years of my life, but also I know my dad. I know his wife, his current wife. So I had the privilege of experiencing both of them in my life up to this date.
That's such a blessing.
Yeah, you could say so.
Yeah.
Well, growing up was fine. I mean, there were no serious dramas. A kid is just a kid. You don't know much.
Yeah.
Okay, talking about now religion, getting to know Jesus. It was a bit of just a topic that I personally avoided, even as a child, because the idea or thoughts about God was that he's someone that wants something from me, like rules maybe that I should follow, that obviously were not fun. That was my thinking, like this God is just here to tell me what to do, what not to do. And I was just not ready. I was not interested in knowing this God.
Yeah. And what got you to that? Like, where was your thought process like that?
Well, I think it was maybe the surroundings that I grew up in, because with my parents, I was like the sweet boy, the good boy who does almost everything they want me to do. But then with my friends, they get to see the side of you that your parents don't necessarily see. The naughtiness comes out and all of that. So I think it was a thing of, I'll be lying to myself if I'm like, okay, let me let me give this God a chance and see where it goes. And then I remember, that was basically my primary school. The only things I remember about religion during my primary school years was learning how to pray, going to church. Not really. I actually didn't enjoy it. Yeah, because I consider it a waste of time, if I can say that. Yeah, because I didn't go to church, so the friends that I chilled with, they used to go to church with their aunties and people from home. But I knew that they were told to go by force. They didn't want to go out of themselves, or they had duties that they were doing, so they had to go. And I think obviously, even as a child, you do feel like, where am I? Who am I? So I was like, I think I asked myself rather than asking God, like, will there ever come a time where I can really just go to church and be at peace, be happy, be joyful? But I didn't have the answer. I didn't know the way forward. So the question just died there in that moment. And then, of course, moving on to high school, puberty, hormones, all of those stuff, and wanting to experiment with different stuff. But still, I was fortunate enough because I was a very cautious boy, if I can say that. I was not really open to trying out new things, being forced into doing something. That was not my sport, if I can call it that. So I was cautious, but of course it didn't mean that I was a holy person. Definitely not. Apparently, this is not what my friends told me, which makes sense. They told me I'm someone who holds grudges, or held grudges at the time. Like, if you do something to me, I have to get you back. And I was like, yeah, but that's true. What else? I need to get you back. Of course, watching porn, masturbation, those crazy cycles. I went through that as well. And then I met a few guys, randomly bumped into them. They spoke to me about Jesus.
This was high school?
Yeah, during my high school now. They spoke to me about Jesus, and I accepted him. But
just like
honestly,
that on the spot.
Yes, honestly, it was just to get rid of them because they were talking and talking and talking. And I was like, okay, it's coming. Will you say yes to Jesus? So I was like, well, if the prayer helps me maybe somehow to be a better person that sins less or something, yes, I will take that offer. So the guy says, okay, just pray after me. I say the prayer, and then he looks at me, you are now born again. Like, what? No, rewind. So it was like a cheat. I felt like robbed or something. Like the guy lied to me. What is this?
So when you were saying you were going to do the prayer, was it, you just thought this was going to help me to stop doing
my thinking, yes, and for God to forgive me for all the things that I've been doing. But I believe the things that he was saying. God wants to help me and not you are now born again. And that time, my thoughts about born again also was, what we see on TV, people falling, shouting, telling each other, just these big visions and big stuff. So I was like, no, I don't know how to be like that. It looks uncomfortable sometimes. So it was not pleasant thoughts. So I was like, should I now tell my parents that this is what happened, or how do I move forward? So, but on the other hand, I was curious to to understand what's going on. Is it real? Because I did believe in what the guy, no, Jesus can save you and all of that. So I slowly, bit by bit, I would read a few verses before I sleep. And most of the times I didn't enjoy the verses because they were talking about not sinning. Like I remember there's a verse in John chapter maybe 14 or 15 or so, where Jesus says, if you love me, you'll keep my commands.
Yeah.
So I was like, Jesus, not like this. You're ruining my weekend. Because now it was in my mind now, like, if you love me. Which makes sense what Jesus, looking back, it makes sense what Jesus was saying. But at the time, you just, those are not the things you want to hear.
Yeah.
And then, but it was not pleasant because there was really no one I could talk to regarding this thing of, okay, God is now with me or in me or whatever, what's going on. I used to watch a few sermons on TBN here and there, so that it also helped my faith to grow a bit. But of course, away from TV, in my world, my friends and things that are happening around me, it was not helping me to really focus on God. So I think to round it up, I can say my born again life, whatever you call it, it was a defeated lifestyle. It was not pleasant. I was like, I really wish maybe had I never met those people, I would be fine. Even though I was not fine, I would have been fine. But now accepting Jesus and then trying to live out the Christian life and failing, it was discouraging. So sometimes if people would ask me like, can you please pray? I had Christian influences as well. One of which, of course, was my grandmother. So she would always encourage me, like, please pray for the food, or please pray for this before we sleep, whatever. But I was just like, now I need to talk to God. After this whole 2 weeks, I didn't pray. So it was again just those stuff. And I think I didn't know that the Christian life can be enjoyed, or can it ever be pleasant? What is the purpose? Is it just to follow the rules, die and hope you did enough good works to be saved or to go to heaven? Until grade 12. Grade 12, the final year of high school. I was part of the LRCs, me and two of my other friends. So there was this leadership camp that took place at Rock Lodge. So we went there. And then, we met this weird guy. He was just different, not how a young person should be from what we knew about young people. We thought the guy was
not part of your school?
No. He was sort of like the project facilitator or something at Rock Lodge. So we were expecting him to be this guy that will give us freedom to, mingle with, because there were also females as LRCs, to mingle with them and get to know each other and try naughty stuff. So, but he was different, and he would always talk about God here and there. So every time I had a raised eyebrow, like, what is this? Who is this guy? And then there were activities that we did during the days until he put on a video. So we were like, finally some excitement or something to relax. I was thinking it's an action movie or something that we are watching. It's a sermon. The guy put on a sermon. I was like, come on, man, not again. So, but I didn't want to go to bed So I was just like, okay, God, let me just watch the thing, and I don't know, should I expect something new or is it just the same stuff? So we watched the the sermon thing, and it was this indescribable tour. I don't know if you've heard of it, by Louis Giglio. He basically talks about how the things that God created speak about who He is. Yeah, the stars, the moon, and just how big those things are. And this is the God that we are supposed to know, not the one that I knew, at least. So no, that video, it really got me. It got me good. It answered most of the questions that I had about Christianity's not worth, but yeah, maybe its worth, its value. Because before that, it was just a flop, man. Seriously, at least in my world, my experience, it was a flop. And then what struck me the most is that a God like that would really want to necessarily, he wants to know me. He wants me to know him as Greg. He wants me to know him, and for me just to know him differently. So yeah, the guy mentioned a few verses that really caught my attention, and I enjoy, up to this day, I enjoy reading them. One of them is, can we go there so that I don't misquote the thing? It's Hebrews chapter 4, verse 15. Okay, this version says, For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who in every respect has been tempted as we are, yet without sin. And I think that's one of the things that I really wish I was told earlier in my Christian walk. Like, God sympathizes with me. He's not just a God that is like, follow these rules. If you cannot do it, yeah, you know where you'll end up. But he sympathizes with me. He understands how I feel, or whatever you may call it. So
that's why Jesus probably had to be born as a human, so that he's able to sympathize with us.
Yeah.
Because he was tempted, as this verse says, in every regard, as how we are.
Yeah.
So we do have someone that we can look to, and he's there in our time of need.
Yeah. And of course, I mean, we as human beings, we don't sympathize. Christians also, I don't think we sympathize with each other that much. So,
because we cannot relate. And this one is kind of, I'm struggling with like masturbation. You're just like, oh, okay. I'll pray for you.
It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So those were one of the verses that I think I wish I knew at the time. So God, it's not about just, did you follow these rules? Oh, you failed again.
Yeah.
You'll never be something or whatever. But a God that is able to understand me and that can help me the right way, the way I want Him to help me. So,
Amen.
Where am I? Okay, yeah. So that's now the time, and it's so wonderful because two of my friends that were also at the camp, the same video, they also watched it. We all just, after the video, we were different. I don't know how we started talking about God, but it was more like, are we talking about God?
Yeah.
Seriously, like, whether it's something that one read or whatever. And then we were like, okay guys, now this is where we are now with this God. We are agreeing that we understand him different than how we used to. And also Jesus, we looked at Jesus differently, like he really died for my sins. Like who else is willing to do that? Who can really die for me other than him? Yes, our parents, maybe they can do it. And Jesus, of course, like you mentioned, he is God. He is the highest being, the high priest, like this verse also says.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to treat him like the last resort. Like you first figure out things. If things fail, then okay, let's go. There's also Jesus. Maybe he'll help us. It's just the thing of showing gratitude and like, God, we don't want to ignore you the same way we used to, but we want you close to us. We want you to change things that don't glorify you or that don't sit well with you. Yeah, that have nothing to do with you. That's the journey we've been on. And because they were my friends, I was fortunate we would encourage each other. And I remember regarding this watching porn and masturbation, we were still trying to figure out, is it a sin? Is it not a sin? It feels wrong when you watch those stuff or you do those stuff. But we needed like a solid, concrete answer.
Yeah. I mean, so, since the Bible doesn't make mention of it.
Yeah.
We're just like,
And then I remember one day we were sitting in is it biology or physical science? I can't remember. One of those two classes. When the class was over, we were like, okay, let's talk to the teacher and ask her. Of course, we waited for other kids to go.
Was she like a Christian or?
No. We first just wanted to hear the science.
The science behind
it. And then, of course, she told us, no, it's okay. It's absolutely normal. So there was a bit of, yeah. But we were like, and then she threw in a question, like, but then is it something you can stand in church on a Sunday and say, yes, I'm watching porn, yes, I masturbate? Then we were like, whoa. And then she said, yes. You see, that's not where it was a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, then we were like,
yeah.
And then we were like, but if you think about it, yes, you are not harming anyone. It's not like you are raping someone or whatever. But the videos, the pictures, it's other people that are involved in those stuff. So it's not sexually, what's the word? Maybe moral or something.
And especially when you look, at the porn industry, it's like, human trafficking, sex trafficking, like these girls are taken just to shoot these videos and stuff like that.
So it's a mess.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's not something we want to be part of. And that's not something we think God would be okay with. Like, yes, it's okay, my son. You can forget the other stuff, but that one you can. No. So, we tried. We were like kind of keeping each other accountable with whatever we are struggling in that week. And then during that time,
God is good.
During that time, God was also, sometimes I would just be chilling and like, okay, God, seriously, I'm getting bored, man, this Christianity thing. Is there not something else that I can do? And it's so weird that He would remind me of people that I was rude to, people that I maybe held a grudge with and did something bad to them. And like, you need to, it didn't say apologize, but just fix the situation. That was bad, this was bad. So for a time, that was my objective, just going to people, apologizing. Some did not expect apologies, but they were like, wow, you're apologizing, what's going on? I said, no, I'm just sorry, genuinely, for what I did. And it brought so much peace and so much joy to me also. So I was like, wow, so I'm really doing something good. And it reminded me of this verse in, I think, 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians chapter 5. Yes, it should be. Verse 18.
5:18.
It says, all this from God, who through Christ reconciled us to himself and gave us the ministry of reconciliation. So after reading other books and stuff, you sort of understand that God is reconciling us to himself. He wants us to be close to him, to know him, but he also wants us to be reconciled with each other, to make peace with each other. So, and it brings so much joy to apologize if you've done something wrong, to work on, broken relationships, stuff like that. So that's when I really started to appreciate such verses. Yeah. And then, okay, fast forward, finished high school, I came back to Windhoek to further my studies. Where was I? Intimate.
Okay.
Oh yes, I did my primary school in Windhoek and my high school in Intimate.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I came back to Windhoek. Yeah, so where the heart is, I guess. So yeah, now jumping on to university, it's again another crazy experience. In high school, everyone wears uniform. University, everyone wears what they want to wear.
Yeah.
How short, how tall, how wide, how tight, everything.
Yeah.
But I think personally, what has helped me grow as well as a Christian is the fact that during my high school, I wasn't really, when it came to like ladies, I would like a girl, but I would also check her, how she lives. If she's someone, obviously, that is also experimenting and things, I would always observe, like, okay, I wouldn't do that, so that's a bit too extreme. Maybe rather not pursue that lady.
Is it like in how she lives or?
Yes, how she lives. So if I'm not drinking alcohol and she drinks, I just feel like that's not, it's not gonna, that was my thinking at least back then, that there's no way we can click. But the problem that I had was, which was fine, I thought, was flirting a lot. Yeah, and apparently I would.
Apparently you were accused.
Yes, I was accused for, what's the word? You make the girl like you or something like that, but then you don't do anything about it.
You let them on.
Yes, that's the, yeah. Yeah, so that's what I was, and which is true when I thought about it, like, yo, really, that was crazy. And one of the things also that when I was now on my mission of apologizing to people was definitely that aspect. God also spoke to me about how I should relate with females. Know your boundaries, know what to say, know what not to say. So I was like, okay, let me try it, God. And now it was working well.
You would have been a good mentor for Bekonja, when you gave his testimony.
I guess so, but it's tough because it's not something that happens with practice or but it's how God works in different people's lives. Yeah, no one has the same experiences. So I think I'm doing okay in that regard. I mean, I treat females with respect as much as I can. The jokes, they are not bad jokes that demean ladies. If there's a lady I offended, please, I'm sorry. Your apology is coming.
You can email him.
No, I'll find your email and email you. I'm doing okay. Obviously, there's still a lot to learn. But it's one of the things that I'm proud to say, that I know I know my boundaries. There's some sort of boundaries to that side, discipline to that side of my life. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
And I mean, leading up to today, I can honestly, personally say that I'm happy to be a Christian. Not because things are going well and everything is fine all the time, but seriously, God is real. He's real out there. He's real in my life. And why should I not want to invite him in my life? That's like a suicide move, if I can say that. So I'm better off being here than being someone that lives without God in my life.
Yeah.
If I can say that. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Like you mentioning how God is real, how has He made Himself real to you that you are like, man, this is it. Like God is real. Is there any scenario you can think of?
Like a miracle or what?
Like how has God made Himself real to you? How have you found Him to be real?
No, I mean, looking at the watching porn and masturbation, stopping those stuff, because that is for the average guy. There's no way, if you don't have a girlfriend, you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't sleep around, what do you do? So for me, living like that is, and not feeling pressured or feeling like I'll go to hell if I don't, but I really feel free to talk about it as well. So for me, that in itself is good. And even this thing that we spoke about of God reconciling Himself to us and us to each other, like, sometimes people still do bad things, whether it's steal my money or whatever, but I handle it different now. Now, back then I would not even confront you. I'll just get you, and then if you forgot what you did, I'll remind you, you did this, so this is why I'm also doing this to you.
Yeah.
But now at least I can talk to the person and say, this is what you did wrong. I didn't come to fight or whatever, but explain to me how we can move forward with this situation. So it's one thing to, because you don't know what the person is going through. It's not always good to just look for enemies and make enemies, but try and understand where the person is. So for me, that also was a very good highlight and a way to live, especially as a Christian. Talking about haters and all of that. What is that?
This is for my haters.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I mean, it's tough. It's not easy. I mean, the temptations, they're still there. But remembering who you are as a child of God, and having friends that you can talk to, that you can be honest with, and it's better to be truthful about the situation you are in than pretending like everything is fine. There's a certain freedom that comes with opening up and talking about how you feel. So that has also helped. It helps you grow. I mean, being truthful, speaking the truth, it helps you grow a lot. Yeah. So now I can honestly, okay, I hope it doesn't sound confusing, but I can honestly say I'm looking forward to meeting Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, not dying. I don't look forward to dying, but like meeting Jesus is I look forward to it. Because for me, he's not only this judge that is going to punish me for my sins, but the Bible says so many things about him. He talks about him wiping away tears from people's eyes because he sympathizes, he knows. So, and well, if I'm judged, I'd rather be judged by him or who else. because he is the rightful judge. He is the one that judges, that is the best judge, if I can say that. So I'm looking forward to standing, even just to stand in front of him. Yeah, like we look at each other, or will I cover my eyes? I don't know. But I'm looking forward to that day. Because I'm convinced, I believe that he knew, like even before I was born, whatever things were happening, to that point where I am now standing in front of him. He is just the best person to sort out what needs to be sorted out. Yeah, that's the confidence that I now have in my heart. And the Bible also talks about, it's also in Hebrews chapter 12. In chapter 12, verse 2. Looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. So that's how I live my life. I want to look to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of my faith. So I don't feel like I'm alone. Yes, we go through seasons. Even as believers, we go through seasons. There are days where you feel down. There are days where you feel like on top of the world, reading your Bible every day, what, and achieving things. But there are also days where you don't feel up for it. You don't feel like doing certain stuff. So I'm encouraged to look to him, the founder and perfecter of my faith. So, yeah.
You think? I think I've shared everything. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Greg. Definitely encouraging, and I hope that you guys are also encouraged. I think for me, definitely one highlight is that looking to Jesus, and as we struggle with sin, to know who we are. And also that accountability is very important, because as you bring things to light, it's just kind of the weight is taken off. So I can definitely relate to that, but definitely the aspect of knowing who I am, and that helping me even to overcome the sin. So yeah, I hope this series of testimonies have encouraged you guys with whatever you are struggling with, to look to Jesus. If you're not a believer, that you could somehow relate to one of the stories and know that, hey, I don't actually have to fix my life. Jesus can do it for me. Like even as Greg shared that, it is through the power of God that he was able to overcome like masturbation, the grudges, and stuff like that. So it is not really in our own power, but it is all in the Lord Jesus Christ, who is the perfect high priest. So until next time, adios.
Yes, what she said.